Parable of the talents. This is what I'm looking at today in my daily Bible studies. This is the New Testament part of my daily. I do New and Old Testament daily. So I if I have a thought, I'll share it on the tubes on the YouTube. So I had this little epiphany thought. I don't know if maybe it's not for you. For me, it is. This is the parable of the talents. For it will be like this is from Matthew 25, starting with verse 14. For it will be like a man going on a journey who called a servant and entrusted them to his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, to each according to his ability. To each according to his ability, what he was born with, basically. So he said, to each according to how God blessed him, if you will. The initial blessing that you received, that you're born with, in essence, because he doesn't bless us all equally. Well, then he went away. He who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them, and he made 5 talents more. So he went out and he used his abilities. He used his blessings, and he doubled his blessings. He doubled his blessings. So also he who had the 2 talents made 2 talents more, but he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. See, to me, this is about 3 people that have all received, if you will, blessings of the Holy Spirit. And if you're not Christian, you could think of this as not the blessings of the Holy Spirit, but these are the people that have received, if you will, advantage. They have received advantage. So if you're an American SJW type personality person, you might say privilege. That would be what you'd be talking about, privilege. So we're talking about people who have been given a measure of unearned privilege. By the way, unearned privilege isn't, to me, a bad thing. It is what it is. It's life. We're all born with varying degrees of unearned privilege and unearned disadvantage. Whatever we're born with natively, for instance, that advantages us is a form of privilege. Whatever we're born with that disadvantages us is a form of a disadvantage, an unprivileged. So we're talking about people that have had that they have this privilege over others, this advantage, if you will. And the first one went out, and with their advantage, they multiplied, and they produced 5 on 5, 5 for 5. But it's not really about the number; it's about what did you do with the blessing that they have, with the advantage that you have. If you have a huge advantage, you have a capacity to, if you double your privilege, for instance, or double your blessing, your privilege, whatever. But I mean, the implication is the privilege that you're doubling. You're not doubling for yourself; you're doubling for the world around you. The talents that you're earning, the 5 talents that the person with 5 talents had, gave those back to the king. They were raising it for the king. So your privilege that you're seeking after isn't for yourself, it's for your advantage or blessing. It isn't for others. It is basically your if you will, sharing the wealth, sharing the blessing, sharing the advantage. And now, from a Christian perspective, it's very specifically, this is about spiritual wealth, spiritual privilege, if you will. It's not necessarily materialistic in design. It's a spiritual blessing that we're talking about. But you could extrapolate, and there's some materialistic, parabolic, I'll say, philosophical potential truths that you could derive from this, even if you're not a Christian. But that last one, so the last one had the 1. And what did the 1 do? See, clearly the 1 believes in the master, right? Master, calls him master, acknowledges the sovereignty of the master, clearly recognizes who gave him the blessing, and then at the same hand says, listen, I know how you are, and I know you're a hard man. And why do you view the master as a hard man? Would you view the master as a hard man if you came to love the master? Most likely not. Your first thought wouldn't be a hard man. You also wouldn't be saying about your master, reaping where you did not sow. So you are submitted to the master, but you don't respect the master. You clearly don't love the master. and gathering where you scattered no seed. And that's a pretty damnable accusation to make against your master. And for this person, clearly doesn't even understand the master, has no real relationship with the master, because anyone in their right mind would probably see that if you say that to your master, they're not going to like you. That's kind of an insult. You're insulting them. But this person clearly doesn't even have a relationship with the master. All the master is an ogre, a preventer, somebody that they have to make sure that they give back whatever they gave them. And that's it. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. This is why I made this video in the whole part. Fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. And the beginning. This is, I've discipled, mentored, whatever, Christians in the past. I don't necessarily do that so much anymore for reasons, but I still Christ is Lord, but certainly one of the things that I've told many folks that I've worked with, I guess, is the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, is the place where most Christians stop. And fear of the Lord, metaphorically, is the place where people, I'll say, the folks who have come to recognize the limitations of their power, that they come to fear of the Lord, and it replaced fear of the Lord with fear of reality of power, fear of the reality of power. So they come to the fear, and then they don't get to the love part. See, fear of the Lord is the beginning. That's the part where you're submitted, you understand your boundaries, your limitations. Now, the next part is, once you've understood your boundaries and your limitations, you understand everybody else has them too. And it helps you empathetically identify more with the folks around you when you realize, hey, we're all kind of, we're all pretty limited, all of us. And because you understand that you're limited and you understand that they're limited, you have more grace for them because they look more like you. So when people do bad things, you don't think, I would never do that. You grow in love. Love is the key. Love is the journey. Fear is the beginning. Fear is the limitation, understanding who and what you are, humiliating you in a way. But you don't stay in humiliation. You don't stay in fear. There's a certain part of humiliation, fear, that should be on your journey. And I don't just mean for Christians. I mean in general. You should have a certain level of humiliation and fear, of limitation upon who and what you are and what you're capable of. But at the same hand, that's the first part. The second part is the love part. The love part is when you identify with others, the same circumstance. And in that circumstance, in that understanding, you will want to lift them up because you're lifting yourself up by lifting them up. Because you are a piece of crap. And if you live in a society where pieces of crap have grace and mercy and hope, you have hope. And if you don't, then you don't. So if you come to the fear of the Lord, fear of the reality of power, and you don't extrapolate that out to everyone else is the same as you, what you'll end up doing is your fear will lead you down a path where you fail to see all of the ways in your life in which you are actually contributing to the crap. You're actually simply contributing to limiting the power of others, and in so doing, you're also limiting your own power. And you end up like this person at the end, who comes to the master, and the master, you can say the master is the reality of power. For me, it's God. For maybe it's, you're just thinking the master, the reality of, you don't understand the relationship. You don't understand what the master wants. What the master wants is consensual exchange. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about you get and you give more than you get. This is like when Jesus is calling the disciples, he's preaching to a bunch of people, his disciples, and a bunch of people need food. They don't have a lot of food. Jesus is able to give more than he has, and he ends up getting more than he gives. This is how the consensual loop works. It multiplies blessings, if you will. It multiplies prosperity for all who practice it together in community. And this person, no idea No idea, just lives in the fear, and the fear puts them, I want to make sure that nobody thinks that I'm one of the bad guys, and I am going to hold on for all I have. So, like, for instance, for I'll just use the gay thing with the Christians, which that's one of those. I'm not going to say whether homosexuality is a sin or not a sin. I'll let you decide that. That's not the point of this video. But the gay thing is, if you think homosexuality is sin, and very well may we. I'm not saying one way or another in this video, and it's not really relevant to my point. But if you think homosexuality is a sin, and you happen to not be gay, this is if you would think to yourself, well, this is a blessing. God did not make me gay. Okay, that's a temptation I don't have to worry about. And then you see somebody who's gay, and your response is, well, see, you live in fear of the Lord. You haven't come to love of the Lord, because fear of the Lord is, I guard my righteousness, and I make sure that everybody knows that I'm not like them. That's the fear of the Lord without the love of the Lord being added. When you come to someone that's gay, even if you think it's homosexuality is a sin, when you see that person, you don't see a sinner. You see you. It's like, hey, how you doing? Okay, yeah, well, part of your life, it's probably maybe not aligned with God. Yeah, I know how you feel. I got that. I don't have all the answers. I don't know. Hey, and that's about it. That's about it. That's about the extent of how you view someone who's gay. If you're walking in the love of the Lord, I believe. If you're walking in the fear of the Lord, it's them darn homosexuals. They're so evil. How are they following their sins? That's so evil. Meanwhile, you have probably bunches of sins that you were, quote unquote, born with. And again, the point of this video is not to say homosexuality is a sin. It's not the issue. It's not what I'm talking about. The issue here is that a person, when they see, quote unquote, sin, and if you want to take it out of the Christian, if you want to extrapolate this out to a natural metaphor, when you see aspects of self that don't align with social acceptable norms, and those aspects of self are not parts that you struggle with, you are more readily to condemn those who fall outside of orthodox norms. If you're only in the fear. Now, it's even worse, by the way, if you don't even get to the fear, because there's many people that don't get to the fear. They have no blessings. Those people are not the people that have been given any blessings whatsoever, any talents whatsoever. They had 0 talents, and they made 0 talents in the end. So there you go. That's my thought. My little epiphany thought is, I believe that what God is for Christians. I'm a Christian. I think you could probably figure that. I think this is a powerful reminder of the journey in your Christian walk, which is the beginning of the journey is the recognition of the need of the journey. That's the fear of the Lord. And the journey itself is walking in the love of the Lord. And I go to when you get to, what is it, John 16? It's 16 or 7. I think it's 16. John chapter 16, when he says, I give you a new command, to love one another as I have loved you. And the model that he's referring to is specifically the time that he walked here on earth. And if you want to look at that metaphorically rather than literally, then the metaphor is that this is a type of love in which the individual is seeking for the other individuals to be lifted up. So love of the Lord is where you don't love one another as yourself. You don't love one another, love thy neighbors. It's way more demanding than that. It is to love one another just to lift them up. Not even to love people that you identify with or don't identify with. To lift, because Jesus wasn't walking around necessarily trying to only, he gave his message to all. The message was to all. Everyone wasn't invited to the party, so to speak. And so in the natural metaphor, the idea is that you come to understand that you are a limited piece of human crap, but so is everybody else. And when you understand as a piece of crap how much you need other people to give you mercy and grace, hope and understanding, that if you want to live in a world that will allow you the screw ups that you're going to have, you're going to have to really work to set that model yourself, to be the agent you seek to see, to be the society you seek to see that will give you the space that will allow you to have the occasional screw ups that you're going to have, because you are a piece of broken crap like all the rest of us. So nobody's better than you. That's the thing about this. Nobody's better than you. We're all pieces of crap that have the capacity in our awareness of our piece of crap to use that as the central motivation to lift one another up, because by lifting one another up, we are absolutely lifting ourselves up. So there you go. Peace.